rocks and where they come from, and Dale's involvement in the production of those rocks that we all know so well.
So we're going to talk about Freedom Jasper,
Blue Mountain Jasper,
Owyhee Jasper,
a little bit about Rocky Butte,
and a little polka dot. And that's not all Dale has mined, but we've just chosen these for this feed. So before we jump into that conversation, should we hit those boxes real quick, Jean?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So those of you who have joined us before, you know all about these boxes. This one has numbers 1 through 138 in it, and the number that Jean picks is going to be half off tonight. You can comment that number right now, or you can comment that number later when you see the item. The first person to comment that number below in this feed, it's half off. The first person to comment. Oh, price range. Price range is $15 to $500.
Six. Oh, that.
Two?
That's 600.
I don't remember.
Okay, so
It's not more than 500. It could be less than that, though.
so you don't know what this is yet. You won't know until a little later. So I mean, most people would like to wait and see.
Or some
what
people
we
just
find
comment
out.
random lucky numbers.
So the number is.
Evan, can you grab that for Grandpa? Thank you.
So that number is half off.
What number
to
is
anybody.
it? Let me see it.
42.
42. Ooh, 42. Okay, well, this is the next box. Anyone who commented on last week's feed's name got put in this box. So if you comment on this feed, next week your name will be in this box. And you want your name to be in this box because it means that you have a chance to win a coupon for anything that you purchased this evening.
You don't have to say anything important. You can just say hi.
Say, I love
And
rocks.
your name will be in the box next week.
Here we go. Who's the lucky 20% offer this week, Jean? Ann Kruger Murphy. Evan. Ann Kruger Murphy, it is, thank you for being our customer. Anything you choose to purchase during this live feed is going to be 20% off. So we did the boxes. We're going to start with Freedom Jasper. Should we
Yes.
talk about the collecting area first? Avery, why don't you join us over here on these pictures? So starting off on that, grab it. Grab the handle there. Got it?
Having a few camera problems here.
So grab the handle.
Freedom
Avery,
Jasper
come
is
over here.
Jasper comes near. Is found near McDermitt, Nevada.
McDermitt, Nevada is
McDermitt, right.
a very famous collecting area in just south of Idaho.
That's right. It's in Nevada, but it's right on the Idaho-Nevada border.
So the picture that Avery is scanning over right now is a panoramic view from the Freedom Jasper claim. This next picture, if you are in the area and you're planning to go rock hounding, this is definitely a good stop for you. When Annie and I were there, we went to the Caldera Rock Shop. And Reggie Kemp and his daughter, Leanne, own this shop. And they're so very helpful and nice. If you are planning a rock hounding trip in this area, you definitely want to stop at their shop. They have these maps that they give out to their customers, and they have just hand-drawn maps of the whereabouts of some of the deposits that have been dug and discovered in this area. And there's many more maps that they have. I just have these two as examples.
There's lots of stuff in the area.
Lots of minerals in this lava flow. The pictures here show one of the first claims that was out there in this area. It was a mercury mine. That's how many of these rocks got discovered, is because the mercury was being mined before World War I for the minerals to help in the war. And then they started finding these other pretty rocks around it. But you still, in a visit today, you can go out there and see the old buildings and old mercury mine. It's definitely a landscape point of notice while in the area. In fact, you can see it. Here's the Freedom Jasper mine, and to the left is also for a long shot of the Freedom Jasper mine, and you can see in the corner here that Mercury Hill from that other mine in relationship to where the Freedom Jasper is found.
So what were the other names for Freedom Jasper?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. So Freedom Jasper is also called Gary Green, Caldera Jasper, Larsenite. What was the one that Reggie Camp used? Elliptical?
No. Caldera.
No,
No,
I just said that
yeah.
one. Calypso.
Calypso.
So there's many different names. Let me just take a pause. Evan is starting to show these pieces here. And as he's showing them, he's showing the number and the price first, and then the item that is and then he's showing the top of the item. There you go. Velcro the code. Did we have a Velcro cord? We're trying to fix this, people. Thank you for your patience. So this, as we're showing the pieces here, you can comment in the feed if you are interested in purchasing one of them. Evan has number 3 here. It's $30. And then showing the front piece. The first person to text that number down or claim that piece will be contacted through Facebook Messenger when we're done. However, all of the items tonight, the whole feed will be rewatched, and in order we will watch for those comments and contact you after the feed to see the timeline. So Freedom Jasper has many different names that it's been known for because it's been collected for so long. This area in general, rock hounds have been coming out and rock hounding for over 75 years. And a lot of the material that came out of the Gary Green, Freedom Jasper area was all hand dug by rock hounds who would visit the area thinking that this land is also BLM land like many of the other deposits. But in fact, it wasn't. A gentleman called by the name of Rick Bradley owned this property from very early on. He was from California and bought the property probably to retire at, but never got to do that in his life or to develop it. And Dale Huett purchased that private property, all 280 acres of it, from Rick Bradley. I don't know when, though. I think it's been a few years.
It was about four years ago, I think.
So the club members who were used to going out there and digging their holes where Freedom Jasper is found, all of a sudden saw private property signs go up. And they kind of got upset. They were like, well, what do you mean? I've been digging this rock for years. Why can't I go back here? Well, it is actually private property. It is not okay to dig there now that it's labeled private property and we know about the 14 claims that exist on this land. But there are other locations in this area that you can go and hand dig on, and those are where the maps come in.
Dale does have plans with who's it? owner?
Oh, John Cook.
John-
John Cook is now the
John-
owner of this claim, not
John-
Dale Huett,
to
but Dale
have-
Huett is still the miner.
To have fee digs happen there. They aren't all organized yet, but they will in the future.
So this Freedom Jasper, if some of you know it as Gary Green, and it actually had an article written about Gary Green in Rock and Gem's August 18 issue. If some of you might follow Rock and Gem magazine, it's a trade magazine if you're not familiar. That article says Gary Green larsenite caldera jasper is a petrified bogwood found in the McDermitt area. And actually, after talking to Dale on Monday, that's actually not true. It's not a bogwood. It was the new owner, John Cook, once he had this material and really wanted to know what he had, he sent a piece of it out to get tested at GIA. And when the results came back, and there was no organic matter whatsoever in this material. It is completely a cryptocrystalline jasper.
Now that Dale has opened it up with machinery too, it's much easier to see. These are veins that run horizontally in the ground. When it was dug by hand, it would be, you would hit these little pockets of things which were reminiscent of petrified wood. And also, petrified wood is known in this area. The McDermitt petrified wood is quite famous. So it was kind of an easy thing to think that it was some kind of a petrified bogwood.
So this private property, there are benefits to Dale being the miner, to having a private property to mine on that are different from mining on BLM land. For example, he's been able to open up a number of different areas on this property and allow them to remain open for more of an exploratory run on what's available. When we talked to him on Monday, he said he even has recently found a deposit of agate in this area on these claims. So there's possibly a new rock coming to the market.
The property is 280 acres. There's more than one agate or jasper deposit on those 280 acres. There may be many of them.
Who knows what he's going to find?
So there's going to be new rocks that come from this area in the future.
Who knows what he's going to find? Dale, when he mentioned that it's very prolific, he had estimated there to be 100 different deposits on those 280 acres. So we need to see numbers 1 and 2 again. Is that what we're doing? All right. So the new owner, the newest owner to this claim, and it was just happening when we were there. Annie and I went out to Freedom Jasper right after we were done mining at
June
Graveyard in June. And Annie and I said, well, we filmed Gene, but there's more to film out here. Who else is mining? And we contacted Dale to find out which place he was, and we went there. If you haven't had a chance yet, we do have a video of that filming that Annie did while we were visiting Freedom Jasper in June on our YouTube station. If you are interested in signing up for that, you can do that through our website, thegemshop.com. So John Cook bought this private property from Dale Huett. But they made a very important agreement. And I think that this was so very important for Dale because he has been seeking this since the day I met him. And then I remember him saying to me, all I want to do, Veronica, is mine. And this agreement that they came up with allows him to do just that. Dale has been able to, to just focus on the mining and the digging of the rock, while John Cook is in charge of the marketing, and they make a great team. So he told Gene that on the phone, And Gene said, well, that's just not fair. And Dale's response, yeah, it's not fair, but I don't care. He's happy as a turtle in a kid in a candy store, shall we say.
Yeah, Dale's having a great time out there. They brought in a big machine, an excavator 236, I think, and they are digging up lots of rock. How much did they dig up, Veronica, when you were there?
Gotta get the stand-ups next. We were there for a few hours. You gotta go to the stand-up. We were there for a few hours in the afternoon, most of the day. It was so hot. I remember we had to take several breaks because it was so hot. The camera overheated, and we had to sit in the truck and allow the equipment to cool down enough to videotape Dale while we were there. But he said that this year's production was about 100,000 pounds of Freedom Jasper. They did open up that top area, and he had planned to go down all the way down the hill all the way, but that's definitely in the years to come. They also have plans on building some buildings out there to have more of a permanent mining location that people possibly could come and fee dig on the weekends that they provide that. So where did you first hear of this rock? Do you remember hearing of Caldera Jasper or Gary Green?
I've been down to McDermitt maybe only twice, I think, and both times, one time I was looking for a little Saginite agate, which is found fairly close to town. It's on the map there, and the petrified wood, but I did not have very much time. I think as far as what is known from the McDermitt area, the petrified wood is probably the most famous because it's found in nice, long, beautiful trunks or pieces.
We have some of that on our website, I think, the McDermitt wood limbs.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And when I've been down in that area, I have been stopped or redirected to where the Blue Mountain Jasper comes from because it's fairly close.
And you're more after those orbs than anything else, aren't you, Gene?
Yes.
Well, who knows what they're going to find here? I mean, 280 acres of land.
Yes.
That's a lot of land to move or dig in. How long would that take to understand the land and the layout and how many different deposits might be there?
From a rock hounding point of view, this is an extremely rich area. The whole Oregon-Idaho border area, all the way north and south from Nevada. There are lots of things up there.
So Dale went in recently. We were there in June. Annie and I did the filming in June. We produced that video from that. But he's there again right now.
Yeah.
And he said that he's upped his machine to a 336 cat.
Yeah, 236, I think it is.
336. It's bigger than your 330, 320, right? So it's been 336.
Yeah, 336. Right.
And it's a massive machine, so he's ripping up land.
They're about 100,000 pounds, so it's a little bit bigger.
He said it's when he walked it into the mine, it spanned over the road on both sides.
Yeah, they're a little wider.
They're a little wider than a road. Although the roads really in that area are not that wide to begin with, it's more of a one-vehicle road, and if you have a big truck like me, you might get your truck scraped up on the sides like I did. So that name again that we mentioned before, we mentioned Reggie Kemp and his rock shop in McDermitt, the Caldera Rock Shop. Reggie Kemp, it was interesting to meet him out there because of his history in the area too. I don't know how old he is now, but he's well into his 80s, I think. But Reggie was one of the original owners of a Morrisonite claim. or he had a deal with one of the owners to dig at Morrisonite. Gene, you've got a comment here.
I've got a comment here. Well, I don't know if I want to tell the whole story, but I was mining out there in 1986 or 87, and Reggie came up and said, well, he had to put up some money for the filing of Big Hole 2, and I had access to that claim because it was abandoned, entirely abandoned, and I had renamed the claim the Veronica Lee after my daughter here. And Reggie said that he had put up, along with another guy, $5,000 to help develop the Big Hole 2 claim, and that he got kind of swindled out of it because there was nothing put into the records. So I made a deal with him. I said, well, Reggie, I'm sorry that you feel that you were taken advantage of. I had nothing to do with that. I own the claim 100% right now. But I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put your name on the Veronica Lee claim if you put my name on the Wild Chance claim.
So you're trying to make amends with him.
I was trying to make amends for his problem, even though I had nothing to do with it. And that's how he got his name on the Veronica Lee.
Well, I think that that was your fairness in that deal rang true for my visit there. Like, sometimes your reputation precedes where I go. I walked into the Caldera Rock Shop, and Leanne came up to me and she goes, I have a piece of paper in my living room with your name on it. And I was like, oh my gosh, who is this woman, and why does she have a piece of paper with my name on it? But in fact, it was the Veronica Lee claim paperwork that she was referring to from that story. How are we doing, guys?
It's 29.
So one thing I did notice about Dale and his technique for mining, it's much different than his excavation work is much different than yours, Gene. Mm-hmm. Like, there's just a different approach that he takes. And I think that this is rang true for all of the miners we visited in June. It's amazing how different people operate those machines. And a lot of it has to do with the rock that they're digging and how that formation occurs. So this Freedom Jasper is in veins, and it has layers of veins. He said that one of the bottom layers that he was digging for while we were there had more of the beginnings of orbs in the patterns versus just the striations like you're looking at right now. That would be a top layer. And who knows what he's going to find if he goes deeper. It could get better. It sounds like it could.
Dig deeper.
Dig deeper is always the answer. Dig
The
deeper.
miners answer anything.
Dig deeper. Haven't
Any
found it
problem.
yet? Dig deeper. Move that, please. So here Avery's going to move the camera closer up on some cabs. So these are all designer cabs cut out of the Freedom Jasper. You can see, does this? Oh, there we go. We are trying so hard to figure out how to film cabs. It has been a learning process across the board. So these were cut in our lapidary, in our German buff top style. You can see some pretty things here. Some of those nice kind of teal greens and the red and the tan together. There we go. Anything else you want to say about McDermitt, Gene?
No.
No? I wish I had more time out there. just going over there and seeing those like little treasure maps that the Caldera Rock Shop hands out. I wanted to just spend a few days and go, look, we were only there for a day. But I'm looking forward to the next time I get to go back. All right, our next item of topic here is Blue Mountain. And we're gonna start with this map.
See this? Okay.
Well,
This is a little satellite photo.
Can you let me hold it, Jean? There you go.
And this is about 4 miles north of McDermitt. So we're fairly close to where we are right now. And here's Interstate Highway 95, which goes down to McDermitt. And here is a group of hot springs that are well known out in this area. And this little group of low mountains are the Blue Mountains. And in this circle here, that is where the Blue Mountain Picture Jasper is found. Although there are other small deposits all over in the Blue Mountains. So that's the location where it is. It's a great part, northern edge of this rock hounding area. This satellite photo is a new one, taken fairly recently, and it's very difficult to see the claims here or the work that was done here because it's all been reclaimed. Dale has reclaimed the whole thing, and you can hardly see it anymore.
So going to this picture, Avery, we have a picture of the Blue Mountain claim as it was open when he was actively mining it right here.
And then we need you to.
Can you hold this? Thank you. Sorry about that. I hope are we back on? Are we live? Okay. So this picture here shows where the claim was open and where Dale was actively digging. And this claim here, or this picture here, shows when he's actually reclaimed the area. You can see how much work goes into closing up the ground after a mining operation is done. This picture over here, which we'll talk more about in a little bit, is a massive drill that he had hired a drilling service to go out there and drill 100 20-foot holes in the ground to then blast and lift this deposit. And you can see this fracture here in this next picture of how that rock was lifted out of the ground. And the last picture here we have at the top shows some of the larger eggs that were taken out of the deposit. All right.
The Blue Mountain Jasper was originally found by Leonard Kopczynski, or Cop, as he's affectionately known. He was an avid hunter and found the deposit while he was deer hunting. He was so excited about the Jasper that he filed, and he didn't want anybody else to infringe on it at all, so he filed 16 claims, adjoining claims over the area. Later he reduced that to 12, and in his later years it was after the government changed the bonding regulations or the assessment work regulations so that if you had 10 or fewer claims, you could still do the assessment work on the claims. He reduced it to 3.
2 of those claims Dale bought from...
Yes, from his wife. After Cop passed, Dale bought the 2 remaining claims from his wife and added another one himself, so that there were 3 claims there. The 2 claims, the deposit that Cop had dug was right on the edge of one of the claims. So Dale thought, well, I'm going to have to go a little bit further in that direction. So he filed another one and had 3 of the 3 claims. Dale mined it for 6 years or so. And I'd like to talk a little bit about what he did, because this has never been done before on the Jasper deposits that I know of. He cleaned off the top of the deposits that Kopp had dug. Kopp was not a miner that made a lot of plans. He went out and dug a hole and tried to find something. If he didn't, he moved over and buried half the deposit as he was working. So Dale cleaned that all off and made an assessment of where the jasper was from what he was finding in the top 10 feet of the surface. He then hired a drilling company to come out and drill the deposit. They drilled over 100 20-foot holes, and that picture shows the drilling unit there drilling one of those holes. And then he shot the whole thing. What the idea is that the whole deposit was blasted at once, and it was blasted just minimally so that the whole thing was just lifted up, cracked, and set back down. It wasn't blasted like in a mine where you're trying to get the ore out and make it small so that you can move it and smelt the ore out of it. It was just lifted and put back down. Dale told us that he has this after the blast. Then you can go in with an excavator, and it's very easy to mine. It's easy to break up the rock. It's easy to move the rock out. And Dale told us that he has gone through about half of that blasted area, and the other half is still
buried.
there.
It's still there.
Still there.
So he can easily go back in and reproduce rock from this mine, because he did that huge blast at once and went through half of it and buried the rest. But he said that there's actually a lot more rock than what's on the market in that mine. The nodules are so very hard to see. He said that 50% of the nodules that are excavated out of the ground are still in the dump pile. He said that it was Kopp's experience as well, that the rocks, the nodules themselves, are so hard to spot when they're whole among that matrix rock that they miss about half of them.
I know this is hard for a rock hound to understand, because if you have a nice Koyamito agate with all those bright bands in it, and you think, well, how could you miss that? You know, in a pile of rocks, you guys can't see anything. But when you're mining, it's an entirely different story. That whole nodule is covered with a little bit of silt or a little dirt. When I was mining Koyamito agate, we tried to look at the rock 3 times. Once when you're pulling it out with the excavator, once when you move it to a dump site, and then when you scrape that dump site and look at it again. You try to look at it 3 times. Dale told a story about his dump pile, and he said he got off the excavator, he'd go over to one end of the dump pile. Now this is supposed to be a rock that's all looked at already. All the big nodules, all the nodules are pulled out of it. You look around over there. Oh, there's one. Oh, there's one. And you got 4 or 5 pieces. And then he said he walked and he couldn't see anymore. So he walked to the other end of the pile, looked around a little bit. Oh, there's one. Then he found another one. And then he walked back down to the pile, the other end of the pile where he started in the first place, and found another one. So Blue Mountain is particularly difficult because the host rock colors and the nodule colors are so close that if you have a pile of rocks, it's difficult to see them sometimes. So his assertion was that, I mean, you can go through the dump piles and still find a lot of good jasper.
In fact, that's what he did first when he bought this claim from Kopp, was go through Kopp's dump piles And that's where he was able to, thank you. That's where he was able to find where Kopp was digging and understand Kopp's technique or randomness. Randomness.
Yes.
So there are over 500 ton of rock that he buried there too, on top of that other half of the area that was shot. There was another 500 ton of rock that's buried there just waiting to be hammered. Because the matrix was so big on these boulders, he just moved these boulders out of the way so he could get to some of the other stuff. And that rock, those big boulders could be broken up with a hydraulic hammer and more nodules would be available. So yes, there is prolific rock available. It's just in the ground yet, but I think Dale will be mining here again. Just no plans as of right now.
The deposit itself, when I was there the day after the blast occurred, and he said that when they were drilling, they were watching the tailings from the drilling coming up out of the hole, and they were pretty sure that they had drilled down into solid basalt, black basalt, and that the deposit all existed in the area the 20 feet or so above that basalt. But as he was working with the excavator and pulling the rock off the ground, at the bottom of the deposit, he discovered that that rock was just black, but it was still going. The deposit is still going, and it's like curving down into the ground, and so it goes deeper as well.
Just dig deeper. Yes. The orbicular pattern that you see in this stone is significant to fine jaspers, and Jean, you can talk about that at a later time. But I just wanted to point out that of 10, I asked Dale, how often do you find this pattern in the rough? And he said maybe 30%. Maybe 30% of the nodules that are cut will have that jasper orb pattern, and at that it could just be a little bit of a orb pattern, not a good one. So many of these pieces that we're showing you tonight have that orb pattern, except for that last one that Evan just showed you. All the rest kind of do. So that's a pretty amazing collection where you have right there. Jean, good job.
Yes. Amazingly, when I heard Dale describe that 30%, Jake and I have had many discussions about the regular Morrisonite,
So,
and estimated that of the Morrisonite mined, about 30% had the egg pattern too. So it's not an unusual thing for the quality standards.
all right, what are we looking at here, Jean?
Okay, this is a satellite photo again. We're jumping up north. Last week we mentioned Homedale, Idaho, which is up over here, and the Graveyard Point area, which is right over here. And the next two rocks that we're going to talk about are just a little deeper into Oregon, and represent the Picture Jasper area. So this little square here is right there, and this is Sucker Creek Canyon, and this is Owyhee Lake over here, and Three Fingers Butte is about there. And if you can look closely on this little square, I hope you can get to it, you'll see a little cut right there. That is the Owyhee Jasper mine, and you can see where the vein ran almost straight north and south, and how it's been dug for that distance right there. So that's the Owyhee. That's the original Owyhee Picture Jasper area. Rocky Butte Picture Jasper is right over here, and you can't see a lot of the. It's a little bit more carefully mined, so you can't see it very well there. But it's only about 2 miles or a little less maybe even less. And another very
Nope.
famous picture jasper from this area, the wild horse picture jasper, is just off the bottom of the map here. So these three are probably the main picture jaspers that have been mined here, but there's many other picture jaspers from the area.
So the picture that Avery's going to go in close here is Three Fingers Butte, which is definitely a
It's a major landmark.
Major landmark,
in Mar-
thank you.
You can see it from Morrisonite. You can see it from Homedale. It's the highest peak in the area. You can see it for a good 50 miles away.
So this next picture is the Owyhee Jasper claim.
Yes,
You can
that's
see that this is that big vein and the big scarring
That's
that
this-
goes down
that-
the middle there.
Right, that's the same little slot looking in it that you saw in the satellite photo.
And the third picture there, my son Avery sitting on a pile of Rocky Butte boulders when we were out there. I think that was in 2013, maybe? It's been a while. He's not that little anymore. So we're going to start with the Owyhee. So talking to Dale about Owyhee Jasper, it was really interesting to hear of his future plans. He has everything all right?
Can we start with its discovery?
Oh yes, okay. Sorry, I skipped that part.
You want me to do
No,
it,
I
or
want to
you-
do it. It's
Go
a
ahead.
great
Go
story.
ahead.
So how did this all begin? Bruce, Marcus, Ralph Fusion, and Gilbert Kenny. Those three were goofing off in the hills of the Owyhees and their Volkswagen. And they took one of these old dirt roads and were chasing horses in the area with their Volkswagen. And they came up to a ridge and chased the horses in their Volkswagen over the ridge, got out of the car to go watch the horses trample down the ravine, and laughing the whole time, goofing off. And then Bruce Marcus looks down at the ground and says, "Oh, that's a pretty rock. Hey, I know a guy. His name is Dudley Stewart. I'm going to go take this rock to him and see what he thinks." And there's that name again, Dudley Stewart.
Dudley Stewart, who we talked about with Graveyard Point. Dudley Stewart started Stewart's Rock Shop in Boise. It's one of the oldest rock shops in the country. And when those three guys brought this rock into Dudley Stewart, he said, "Oh, wow, that's kind of landscapey. I'll tell you what, you go file a claim on that and I'll buy all that rock from you.
Everything you did.
Everything you dig."
So that's what Bruce Marcus did. He went and filed a claim, and those three, I believe, Bruce, Ralph, and Gilbert, decided to hand dig together. And everything that they dug over the next 5 to 6 years, Dudley Stewart of Stewart's Gem Shop bought. And to this day, they still have some available.
Yes.
There was about 10 tons of rock produced in the first 5 to 6 years of this deposit, and it was all hand dug. Hammer and chisel.
I would like to say that this was the first picture jasper found and marketed by Dudley from this area. It initiated an actual jasper rush, like a gold rush. People started going out there searching the area for jasper deposits, and many were found, and many claims were established. This is all taking place in the early 70s. And a lot of the claim names reflect the fact that this was a wild horse haven. There are wild horses still there today, and wild horses running around. So The Wild Horse Picture Jasper claim, named after the wild horses, was found just about 2 miles away from the Owyhee Jasper. And the Rocky Butte is also only about 2 miles away. And the Blue Mustang claim, another horse name, which is adjacent to the Rocky Butte claim, is right in the area too. Some of these Owyahees are exceptional pieces.
This one is exceptional. It has that beautiful darker center and those dendrites and tree-like formations on the bottom. The deposit itself is actually much smaller in size than compared to some of the other Picture Jasper deposits
Yes.
in the area. Owyhee Jasper's veins only run 1 to 3 feet wide.
Well, it's one vein. It
one
runs
vein.
straight north and south, like you can see on the satellite photo. As it went straight down into the ground, it got thinner and then bulged out again, and got thinner and bulged out.
Dale said there were 2 main veins. I wrote that down.
Yeah.
2 main veins. The upper had the tree-like formations that Dudley liked, and the lower had the abstract reds. After hand digging, Bruce, Ralph, and Gilbert, after hand digging for 5 to 6 years, they decided to bring in a piece of equipment. They brought in a dozer and worked with it in that year 6 or so of production. And one day, Bruce hit a pocket with some abstract red material, and he was very excited to see this different look to the Jasper. They worked on that area for about 3 days, and he loaded up the truck and brought the rock into Dudley. And Dudley said, "What, Gene? Do you remember?"
Oh, just well, I don't think I can repeat what he said. He said, "What is this?" What did he say?
Go back to that picture stuff. I was trying to get Gene to say it because he's got the right voice.
So they took it all back out there anyway.
He took it all out. He took it back out to the mine, and he took 3 days of hand digging and dozer work and dumped it into the ravine because Dudley didn't want to buy that type of rock. And this story, or fable, if it is, who knows? I don't know, because it was years ago. But Dale knows this story, and he knows where that dump pile is. And this is the exciting part of this. Dale's planning on going back out to Owyhee in June of next year and opening up the dump tailings. He's going to take in a grizzly and screen through the dump tailings from their hand digs. And he's also going to go after that 3 days of dig of that abstract red color that they hit.
Can I tell a story?
You can tell a story.
The Owyhee Jasper, after Dudley Stewart started promoting it, it became popular very fast. And when they started mining with equipment out there, there were all kinds of scavenger people trying to get the Jasper as well. In fact, there is a joke amongst the miners about the 3 shifts of mining that occurred there. The regular miners would work their 8-hour shift and then leave to go back into town around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And at that time, then the second shift of miners who wanted to sort of sneak a little rock out of the deposit would move in and mine up until the time they'd have to use lanterns. And then after that, the third shift would move into their holes and mine by lantern light until morning. This I was actually out in the area and witnessed some of this myself. And I couldn't believe it that people were sitting there mining rock at night by lantern.
Wow, that's commitment. That's commitment, yeah. A lot of people do that for fun with fluorescent lights now, but
Yeah.
back in the day it was not a thing. So Dale has plans to mine this material again in the spring. Hopefully we'll be out there with him because we might have a new live show for the spring just on Owyhee Jasper of the new product that he's mining. Who knows? His plan is to take a grizzly out there and screen through the tailings piles. And then he said that vein goes straight down as well. So he wants to open that up more and also look for that rock in the ravine.
It's a difficult, very difficult mining situation. If you look at the picture or the satellite photo, you can see that it's like a little canyon that's actually been dug into the ground. So in order to get at the vein, you'll have to take out that one side. You have to actually mine out all that rock on the side to get deeper.
So there are small amounts of this rough material still on the market. Some of it is available at Stewart's Gem Shop, and some of it is available through us, the Gem Shop. You can buy it on our website for $20 a pound. Most of the rough that we have is mostly small pieces. You want to talk about Picture Jasper and the formation of Picture Jasper and why these pieces are small?
I don't know if I want to do the whole Picture Jasper, Fine Jasper.
No, just tell me about Picture Jasper and its formation.
All the Picture Jaspers in the Three Fingers Butte area are essentially formed the same way or similar, even though the deposits themselves are quite a bit different. The jasper is deposited somewhere in a cavity or place, and then it gets fractured, extensively fractured, and then solutions of silica-rich solutions get into the jasper itself and stain the jasper from those fracture lines. And all of these forms that you see in there are a result of this repeated staining that occurs into the jasper. This type of formation is, you can see it in the Wild Horse Jasper, you can see it in the Owyhee, you can see it in the Rocky Butte. And it's a little different in all of them because the deposits are a little different, but the way that the pattern gets into the rock is all the same. And it's become, because of the jasper rush that occurred here, it has become a kind of defining characteristic for what the name Picture Jasper means. So if it's a formational occurrence, it's one of the rare times where you talk about what categorically a rock is, where there is a formational reason for that use of that name. That is different than, say, the fine jasper, the Blue Mountain Jasper, and Morrisonite and Willow Creek.
So he's just finishing up some of these cabs we have for sale tonight. And then we have some small pieces, and then we're going to move on to Rocky Butte.
We always try to have a few small pieces. Most of these are little ends. If you're just starting a rock collection or want, a piece of Owyhee Jasper, because it's not really extremely available in the market, it gives you a chance to get a nice polished piece.
Really like this one here.
I should also say that because of the abundance of jaspers found in the area, and because these mountains are known as the Owyhee Mountains, So somebody finds a jasper and they say, oh, well, that's from the Owyhee Mountains. And then people would think, well, that's Owyhee Jasper. So because of this being so distinctive, the Owyhee Jasper being so distinctive, a lot of people today refer to this as Owyhee Gem Jasper, Owyhee Gem Picture Jasper. That just is trying to define it as being specific to this mine, the Owyhee mine, and not being one of the other many hundreds of jaspers that are found in the Three Fingers Butte area.
So we have a request here to show number 68 again. And number 71, which is the same rock. They're very similar. All right, so moving on to Rocky Butte. Here we are. What? Yep. Oh, show number 75. There we go. So number 75 is 75. If the camera will focus on it. Flip it. There you go. You got it. All right. So next we have Rocky Butte Picture Jasper.
Can I
go.
illustrate
Yes.
something by
Illustrate away, Gene. Everyone wants you to illustrate.
this piece of Owyhee Jasper, which has a utterly fantastic picture in it. In the top there. These patterns result from a fracture occurring in the jasper here, and water or silica being deposited in here and bleeding up into the natural color. All of this jasper was this color at one time. And this repeated staining of the material from the cracks is what causes the pattern.
Okay, you have lots to talk about on Rocky Butte.
No, I don't.
Well, that's what you said earlier. So I wasn't even going to tell my story.
Your story?
Oh,
You got a
yeah.
story?
But we have one more piece of Owyhee. Gene, can you step back for a second?
Oh, that one. Yes.
We forgot about numbers 115. That big piece of rough. We have one individual piece of rough rock for sale in Owyhee. And what makes this piece so unique is its size. It is 20.2 pounds of one piece of Owyhee. So it's number 115. It is $300. Yeah. 600
6. 20 times 30.
is 600.
600 bucks.
$600. My mistake. It didn't have a price on it because I missed that one. Its size tells it all, and it does prove in rough. It has the blue and the tan there, chipped on one side. Now, for a size, it's very unique because the pieces that come out or that you can find in the rough these days are less than a pound.
For it has a particularly nice shape for a sphere cutter. If somebody wanted to
What
make
a
a
nice
sphere,
6-inch Owyhee Jasper
a
sphere.
Owyhee Jasper sphere, which I'm sure are quite rare because of the size limitations, it would be very good.
Avery, you may have to move over a little bit because Evan has to get in there to the pieces. So you want him on the left? No, Rocky Butte
Rocky
up
Butte.
here.
Sorry. We only have a few pieces of Rocky Butte. Rocky Butte Jasper is straight east of the Owyhee, about 2 miles. And it was found by my buddy Jake, or Daryl Jacobitz. And he mined it, he was mining Bruno Jasper at the time too, so he'd go spend the winter at Bruno and then he'd spend the summer at Rocky Butte and mine. The deposit, Rocky Butte deposit, is very different from the Owyhee, where the Owyhee is just like a vein running straight down in the ground. The Rocky Butte has these cones, or what else do you call them?
Like the shoots?
Yeah, there's like these large cones that come up, and they're all jasper, solid jasper. But unlike Owyhee, where most of the jasper is good, Rocky Butte has a lot of inferior or secondary jasper that's not as good. So you have to mine through the jasper and pick out the pieces that
Have the most color.
that are good.
So this,
The one very different or positive thing about the Rocky Butte, it has the widest range of colors that most of the picture jaspers in the area have. It starts out kind of green on the outside and then goes to tan and then red or the blue centers.
this deposit was first owned, or previously owned, I should say. I don't know who the first owner of this deposit was, but Betty Warrington had a claim on.
No, Jake was first.
Oh, I didn't. But Betty Warrington. Then Dale bought it from Betty Warrington, and he partnered with her ahead of time to
Yes.
mine while she owned it, and they had a shared deal.
Right.
And then later on, a gentleman named Dale Arnold bought it, but he never did anything with the claim.
Right.
He bought the claim, but never had a mining operation on it. And Dale was then eventually able to buy it back from the other Dale.
Yes.
Move on to the white.
Yep.
Then that goes.
Okay, we're almost done. So this next item that Evan is going to show is of Polka Dot. Polka Dot Agate is another location that Dale mines. It's located on a private property. It's Dale's home. I think that he bought this property to retire on, with plans to retire and have his own mine in his front yard, which sounds pretty ideal to me if you're a rock hound. It's a private property and a destination rock. He does have it open for fee digging throughout the summer. Most of the time that he would allow people on the property to do some hand digging is during those June Oregon shows, Prineville, Madras, Sisters. And he would be there throughout the summer. The view is absolutely stunning. He has taken some great sunrise and sunset photos and posted them on his Facebook page, and they're just a beautiful place with a beautiful rock.
The deposit is unique as well. It's a lava tube, about 50 to 60 feet wide, running straight down to the ground, completely filled in with agate. And a lot of the agate has all these little spots or polka dots in it, and that's where the name comes from.
So it's a lava tube,
A lava tube.
and it has orb patterns in it. Just like Ocean Jasper is a lava tube formation, and it has orbs in it. Is there something to that?
There could be. I don't know if anybody's ever studied it.
Oh, well. Someone who's
Oh.
interested should study that. So this deposit has. We have to show these pictures eventually, but maybe we can finish the pieces and then go to the pictures. Okay. If there has been caves that have been found in this agate deposit, and the caves themselves are very old. In fact, Native Americans had formed these caves by excavating the agate out to use in the flint knapping. And the way we know this is that Dale found one of those caves. And in the cave, they found an original fire and they tested a piece of the birch wood from the fire, and it tested to be 1,500 years old. So 1,500 years ago, Native Americans would excavate this agate out of the hillside by placing a large fire over the vein and burning it and then shocking it with cold water to break the rock up so that they could then use it for flint knapping.
Okay. Say, unlike Owyhee, the Rocky Butte deposit contains tons and tons of material, and Dale, in his mining activities, has actually exported 2 containers of Rocky Butte Jasper out of the country. He's exported a few other things. He mined this, what's called purple sage out of Nevada as well, and he's exported some of that. So he's not only supplying the lapidary market here, but he has supplied some rocks to foreign cutters as well.
In fact, if you find any beads on the market made out of Rocky Butte, that rock
That's
was
rock that Dale
mined
mined.
by Dale. As well as Polka Dot. I think that was another one. So one more piece here to show of the Polka Dot that we have for sale tonight. These smaller collection pieces, $15 on this last one, number 134. And then we're going to show you 2 pictures of this deposit because it's such a cool picture. And you can see how pretty it must be out there. Scanning onto those photos, we have one on the left there that shows the open area and some buckets and things where people were digging through the day. And the other one shows the sculpted point. And leaving our conversation with Polka Dot, Dale has big plans for this. He wants to sculpt the point. He wants to expose that agate and make a monument out of this. And we wish him the best of luck on those very exciting endeavors. That's a lot to undertake for one person. A few more items tonight. Freedom Jasper, going back to that, we have some Freedom Jasper slabs, number 135. These slabs are cut from the jasper that was extracted this June. The slabs sell for $20 a pound. Next item we have is an item 136. We have some Freedom Jasper rough material. This material is averages about 3 to 5 pieces, or 3 to 5 pounds per piece. There aren't very many small pieces, is what I'm saying, but there are a few. You can see that the staining and striations in these pieces here, and some has that the start of that orbicular pattern. Orbed pattern, I just said the wrong word. I do that a lot. Number 137 is Rocky Butte Picture Jasper. This is some of the rough available from the gem shop. It's $7 a pound. And number 138 coming up here is Owyhee Picture Jasper. 138 is $20 a pound. If you're interested in these, simply message us or comment the number and how many pounds you would like, and we will contact you. This just in, dun, 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 dun. The 2021 calendar. It arrived today, so I'm throwing it in at number 139. This year marks the Gem Shop's 50th anniversary. So we have come up with a special calendar with some information of our 50 years in it. And there's Gene with his head in the hole. One more time, he made the calendar. This is available. We have some stories in the back. This year's special in this calendar is selling for $11.95. Same price it was 20 years ago when we started printing the calendar. Special thanks to Dale Huett Had a great time with him in the spring. I really enjoyed spending the day with him, learning about Freedom Jasper and his mining endeavors. Thank you, Dale, so much for letting us come out, and I hope that we can do it again. All right, that concludes our show for tonight. Thank you for tolerating our stumbles through technology. We are rock people, after all, not technical people. Please join us next week for the Willow Creek Jasper mining operation with Larry Ridley. We will just be having pieces from his claim and talking about his dig out there. We had a great time visiting with him as well. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Pass it on, tell your friends.
Don't forget to ask questions.
And comment.
Comments.